Welcome to Pints and Nutmegs, the third edition, the third episode. And as usual, we start by it's always a Cruz Campo at the minute. One of my more favoured beers since the Euros a couple of years ago. And this pour is going exceedingly well. And look at that. Perfect pour. So, as I say, this is the third episode. I'm Craig, and this is Pints and Nutmegs, and we're going to talk about it's gone in the World Cup, what to expect, and where I've been wrong, where I've been right, the transfers that have been going on. And as I say, moving forward, it will be covering Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup, Europa Conference League, Europa League, and Champions League. Obviously, I'm an Arsenal fan, but I'll be as unbiased as possible across all teams. It's not just going to be my team. It's not just going to be the big six. It's going to be all teams. Let's get into it, shall we? So we'll start off with, because my last recording was Monday morning, Tuesday, wasn't it actually? It was Tuesday morning. So we'll start from the Tuesday fixtures from last week and go from there. So Tuesday, you had New Zealand and Iran 2-2. I think I already briefly touched on that, which it could have gone either way. I predicted a draw. I think I said 1-2, 2-2. France 3-1 Senegal. First half, France weren't really doing much. Mbappe wasn't effective. And then they just, hit the ground running. Norway, Iraq 4-1. I had it down as a 4-0 to Norway. So, yeah, they done well. They got the goals. They dominated the game as expected. Wednesday, Argentina 3, Algeria 0. Wow. Messi, hat trick. He's still got it, ain't he? He just showed up, done the job. He was very, very good. The goals were very, very good. Yeah, Messi was class. And that was a great performance. Austria 3-1 against Jordan. I think that was expected. I didn't think Jordan would score, but there's been very few clean sheets this tournament. Portugal 1-0 against the DR Congo, and yeah, it wasn't a good game from Portugal. Again, looked flat. Nothing was impressive. I think Congo took the lead as well, if I'm correct. Let me double check that. Did they take the lead? No, they didn't. They got the equaliser. But yeah, Portugal were the worst team. Congo looked more effective. I'm not sure how that bodes for the rest of the tournament for them. They're going to need to step it up a gear. England 4, Croatia 2. I do want to touch on this. How do I say this? England were poor defensively. I don't understand, for a start, how Mark Gahey, the most crucial player for the team, in terms of defence, the one that's got the most appearances in the Premier League this season, probably England's best centre back, doesn't start the game. It does make sense. You just look, Ezri Konsa was poor. John Stones, there was no communication between the pair of them. John Stones was at fault for one of the goals. He just, one thing I always say as a defender, there's two things you don't do in the box. You don't slide unless you know 1,000,000% you're getting the ball, and two, you never put your hands on a player because then that invites them to fall down. Now, John Stones did the slide, left himself wide open for the player to take it round him, and open up the goal more. If he stood his ground, it's more pressure on the defender because there's still a player anyway. I found that Reece James and Nico Riley wasn't utilised properly. They're great defensive fullbacks, but they're also great going forward offensive fullbacks, and they wasn't used to overlap or anything. In the first half, Rice wasn't given like a bit more of a roaming option. He was just hanging back next to Anderson. Bellingham was awful. I didn't even realise we had Anthony Gordon on the pitch. I don't understand what he did. and Madueke was getting some dangerous positions and doing nothing with it. Madueke was awful. Again, I don't understand. Surely he knows. Surely in your own head, you've got to comprehend what you're doing. Going, oh my god, like, I'm in this position, and every time you're playing a ball in, or like not playing a ball and going, I should have done better there. How many times? How many opportunities? How many chances? When you're 17, 18, you can go, he's learning. Yeah, okay, he's 23, but at this point, those things should be clicking, especially when you've had a full season at Arsenal, winning a Premier League and getting to a Champions League final and Carabao Cup final, FA Cup semi final, and with Saka being out, being one of the key names in that like squad. Um, Things have just got to click, and they're not. He's poor. I mean, look at the second half. England came out. They were strong defensively. They were good. The game for a neutral and in terms of entertainment was entertaining. But if our defence is like that against a bigger team, we're poor. If we come up against a Spain and Argentina or France and Germany, we'll get ripped to shreds. It won't be just two. It'll be about 7 or 8 we concede. Harry Kane was good. He was pulling all the strings. And then the second half comes, yes, Bellingham stepped up. Yes, Rice had more of a free role and it was doing him better. The changes was what was key as well. Bringing on Saka and Rashford, I feel like they've got to start the next game. I feel them two, you could see their link up and their understanding of each other was effective. Um, Look, like I said when Saka came on, he's going to create something. And he done more in 5 minutes than Madueke done in like 60. There was a minute when he got the ball out wide near the touchline, he looked like he was going to pass back. He dropped his shoulder, beat the player, passed it through to Kane, read what Kane was going to do, come and retrieve the ball off Kane, and then played it through to Rashford. Rashford had a lot to do as well, obviously, to get into that position, to beat the man and dummy it and score the goal. It was all class all round, and there was almost a second moment where Saka could have got an assist. So yeah, that was great. What I didn't like is when England were winning 3-2, he Tuchel decided to bring off Bellingham and put on Jed Spence. I don't like this. Let's go ultra defensive when we've got one goal lead and invite more pressure, especially when there's like 20 minutes to go. It does not make sense. And against the Croatian side, like an aged past goal generation, past their best side. Like this isn't prime Luka Modric. This isn't an effective Croatian side. These aren't the best of the best of the players they've had. So yeah, but it's the first game in terms, as I say, of entertainment and everything. It wasn't a boring game. Go on to Ghana next. We should win that. I'd like to say 3-1, 2-1. Who knows? Um, See what happens and how that unfolds. Obviously, that's tomorrow, as this is Monday today. So going on to the Thursday games, and Ghana beat Panama only 1-0. Don't know why I'm just waking up. I'm drinking a beer apparently. Hard to not mention the name. Gotta live up the tradition. So yeah, Ghana won, Panama 0. Nothing to rave about really. Colombia 3, Uzbekistan 1. Colombia got the job done. Again, not many teams are keeping clean sheets in the tournament. Canada 6, Qatar 0. Canada were very, very good, and that was a solid performance. Yeah, they were getting the goals, they were clinical. Sorry, there we go. Starts smelling like earlobe. Right, Switzerland for Bosnia 1. Yeah, Switzerland, again, a dominating performance, done very well. Czech Republic, South Africa 1-0. Now, with this game, I thought Czech Republic would have won that, especially with South Africa having 2 players suspended, obviously due to red cards. No, Czech Republic ain't doing too well, and I had them to be one of the ones to go through. So this is where I could be wrong. USA beat Australia 2-0. It was comfortable. There was a lot of controversy in the game though, but the win's the win, and USA won't care about that. Morocco won, Scotland 0. Morocco are doing really well. They got the win. They done what they needed to, and yeah, they're looks like they're going to be through. Can't say for certain because obviously points and everything, but I think they're going to be okay. Mexico beat South Korea 1-0. I thought this was going to be a draw, but Mexico edged it, and yeah, again a solid performance and done the job that they needed to do. On to Saturday's games. Netherlands 5, Sweden 1. I never expected that. I thought this would have been a 2-all draw. And wow, yeah, I didn't see that coming from the Netherlands, but I didn't realise, sort of in the defence, how weak Sweden are. Especially if you're letting Gakpo turn into like a prime nanny or something. Um, it was a real good performance from the Netherlands. I mean, in the first half, Sweden had some really good opportunities. People will say about Gyökeres and Isak, but they were linking up well. It's just, I guess they weren't clinical, but you're not going to score 5. And you've conceded 5, your head's going to be gone. It's very unlikely anyway. Germany 2, Ivory Coast 1. So this game I will touch on as well, because obviously I've been talking a lot about Germany and Kai Havertz being top scorer for the tournament in my predictions. Ivory Coast got the goal early. Germany had most of the ball. Germany were creating the chances. They had 2 disallowed goals. They were lackluster, and they just weren't scoring enough goals early on. Um, yeah, so sorry about that. Yeah, Germany were awful, like with their chances early on. Make the change for Dennis Undav to come on, and he's great. Like for what he did, 2 goals, and he's got assists already from the first game. Unexpectedly, I mean, they were creating, they just weren't being clinical. I feel like Kimmich was still effective in that game. He was putting dangerous balls into the area, and Ivory Coast ain't no pushover anyway. I mean, I thought Germany may win 3-1. They could have won 3-1. They should have won 3-1. But the main important thing for them is they won the game. So they got the job done, and they can just chalk it off and go on to the next game. Turkey against Paraguay. Now, this was an upset. Paraguay down to 10 men. Paraguay not being, favoured heavily in any sort of chance of getting through the group. Turkey, I had to top their group. Now look like they're out. Turkey are out. Yeah, they've scored 0 goals in 65 shots over 2 games. They're poor. Brazil 3, Haiti 0. Yeah, early on Brazil was struggling, and then it just sort of clicked, and they got the job done. They done what they needed to, and it helps them, favourably to get through the group. So I think Brazil plays Scotland next. I'll have to look through everything. Keep bloody yawning, sorry people. Bit of wake me up juice, right? Uruguay versus Cape Verde, 2-all. Uruguay are in trouble. Uruguay are poor. I keep saying this. This time around they managed to get a couple of goals, but they couldn't keep out. Cape Verde went 1-0 up. And then I think Cape Verde made the mistake of sitting back for too long. Uruguay obviously got 2 goals off the back of that before the end of the first half. And you think that would push them on to stamp their authority on the game, and it didn't. Cape Verde get something back from it. And it's shocking from Uruguay. Spain 4, Saudi Arabia 0. 3 goals, in like less than 30 minutes. 2 from Oyarzabal. It was a better performance. It was a better lineup. And yeah, they took that game more seriously, I'd say. So well done to them, and a very, very solid performance. I feel like in the later stages they will start Nico Williams with Lamine Yamal. I can't be 100% right or certain, but that's what I believe. That's what won them the Euros. Belgium versus Iran, and it was 0-0. I'm not sure who's more underwhelming this tournament, Belgium or Turkey. Oh, yeah, Belgium were awful. It was a game I was watching where it was making me tired at like 8 in the evening. It was, no, was it 8? Yeah, it was 8 in the evening. It was poor. It was boring. It was, if I was a Belgian fan, I would have been screaming. I don't know if they're going to make through their group. We'll look at the groups and stuff and then the upcoming fixtures as well. Um, Japan 4, Tunisia nil. Japan are doing very, very well. And yeah, I think they're going to be okay. Ecuador nil, Curacao nil. So Ecuador haven't won a game yet, and I don't think they've scored a goal. Um, so that's not good for them. But they kept the clean sheet. Do we go on to upcoming fixtures? You got Argentina against Austria, which I think Argentina win. And then France against Iraq. Yeah, France should win that. Um, and then Tuesday you've got Norway against Senegal. That could be a tough one to call. Norway might edge it. Could be a draw. Jordan against Algeria. Algeria should be winning that. Portugal against Uzbekistan. Portugal should win that. England against Ghana. I think England do win that. Croatia against Panama. Croatia should win that. Colombia against Congo. I think Colombia win that. Uh, Bosnia versus Qatar. Bosnia should win. Switzerland versus Canada. I think that's going to be a draw. From how both teams are performing, I don't think anyone comes out that the victor. Morocco versus Haiti. I think Morocco comfortably win that. Brazil, Scotland. I think Brazil may just edge it, maybe 2-1. Mexico against Czech Republic. I think Mexico do it, and I think Korea beats South Africa. Ivory Coast against Curacao. I think Ivory Coast win. Germany against Ecuador. Ecuador great defensively, but I think Germany will just have the edge. I really do. I just think Germany are too good. Japan versus Sweden. After Sweden's last performance, they've really got to step it up. But the way Japan's been playing, I don't see a world where Japan don't win that. Netherlands versus Tunisia. I think the Netherlands win. Paraguay versus Australia. I think Australia win that. Turkey versus USA. I think the USA win that just because Turkey have been underwhelming. And that's the next round of fixtures. And then, so obviously, Bailen. Oh wait, Saturday, Sunday. So then you've got. Let me look. Sorry, I'm just losing my foot in here. So I see there was a North. So what day's that? Friday. Okay, so we'll talk about the other ones as well. Norway against France. I think that's going to be a tough game. I think that could be a draw. Senegal against Iraq. I think Senegal should easily, comfortably win that. Cape Verde against Saudi Arabia. You know what? Well performing. I think Cape Verde, if anyone's going to get the victory, it'll be them. Uruguay against Spain. I think Spain win that. Egypt versus Iran. Egypt should win. Belgium versus New Zealand. The way Belgium play, I see that as being a poor draw. Croatia versus Ghana. Tough to call. Maybe Croatia edge it. I don't know. England versus Panama. I think we all should expect England to win that. Colombia versus Portugal. I think Colombia are favourites for that one. Congo versus Uzbekistan. I think Congo would win. Algeria versus Austria. Either a draw, maybe Austria just about edge it. Argentina versus Jordan. I think Argentina win. And then, goes on to the knockout rounds. And that's up until next Monday. Now, if we look at the groups and what we can assess. So far, Mexico are top and they're through. They're on 6 points from 2 games. They're through. South Korea on 3 points. The other 2 teams are on. Hold on, mate. 1 point. Let me just quickly reply to this. 1 second. 1 second. Sorry, just had a random call. Just had to let them know I'm just doing something. Group B, Canada and Switzerland are on 4 points. I think they're both comfortably through. Bosnia and Qatar are on 1 point. It's all to play for, but realistically, I think Canada and Switzerland are going to be okay. Obviously, they've got to play each other. So one of them could end up in the 3rd place spot. But if they draw, it doesn't matter. Brazil, Morocco are on 4 points and Scotland are on 3, so it's just going to be a battle out between them 3. I think Morocco is going to be comfortable because they play Haiti. So then it just depends on the Brazil-Scotland score. USA are through. Australia versus Paraguay. It's just going to be who finishes 2nd, who finishes 3rd between them 2. Germany are through. And they've got Ecuador next. Ecuador 3rd on 1 point, and they play Germany. They need something from that game. Ivory Coast are playing Curacao, and Ivory Coast should win that. Netherlands and Japan on 4 points, and Sweden on 3. With Japan playing Sweden, so there could be a battle between them 2. And obviously, yeah, Tunisia are on 0, so they're definitely out. Egypt are on 4 points. Iran and Belgium on 2. And New Zealand on 1. So that group is quite open. But you'd think that Egypt are going to top their group. Yeah. Belgium are underwhelming. Spain on 4 points. Uruguay on 2. Cape Verde on 2. Saudi Arabia on 1. Spain, we think, they should top their group. And then it's just between the others what results happen. I mean, if Cape Verde win their game and Uruguay lose to Spain, Uruguay are 3rd in the group. Norway and France are on 3. Obviously, they've only played 1 game. They played today, if I'm correct. Not each other, but their games are today. So we can't determine much from that, as we can't with the other groups. What are we doing for time? I'm not even sure. It doesn't matter too much. Let's talk about transfers, because this is something I do want to touch on. There's been some funny things going on in the world. So we'll start with this. So Leipzig, obviously, the links with Liverpool have been there since before the end of the season. And they've come out and said they want £112 million for Jan Diomande. So we'll see what happens there. I think that's a lot. It's a lot of money these days. Like, every player now, clubs want 8 mil plus, and I think it's just getting silly. He's young, yes, but he's had 1 season in the Bundesliga. To determine that kind of money, it's whether the paying club views that player, that value as an asset. Like, if they go in and want to buy this player and they go, do you know what? We value him at 112 mil, so we'll pay the 112 mil. I personally wouldn't. I'd look elsewhere and spend money accordingly. Bergvall has said to Tottenham he wants to leave. I think he had 1 start in 6 games in the end of the season, and from what I'm seeing, Spurs have set a 45 mil asking price for him. So we'll see what happens with that. Maybe they're trying to recoup some money to then go in bigger for another player. There is a lot of stuff that's gone on, and I do want to touch on it because obviously, Man, you got Ederson from Atalanta, midfielder, so that's something for them. They needed some extra legs. Casemiro's gone to Inter Miami on a free. Obviously, his contract was up, and they all seem to go over to there. Is that going to load, or am I going to have to? Sorry about this. While this reloads, let's go down. The joys of having a up-to-date laptop acting like it's from the 1990s. Yeah, Liverpool signed this Victor Munoz from Osasuna for £34.5 million. Don't know anything about him. I know Newcastle interested in Liverpool hijacks the deal. That's all I can say on it. I don't know what he's done, if he's good or not. He's 21. This is something I want to touch on, and I'm really excited for. Ronaldinho coming out of retirement and joining Italian Serie C side Ravenna FC, 46 years of age. He was my favourite player of all time. He's, for me, the best player of all time. And it'll just be exciting to see what he can do on a pitch again. Because there ain't going to be high hopes because of his age, because of how long he's been out of retirement. He's been out of retirement nearly, 11 years. But he always played with a smile on his face. He didn't rely on pace or speed. He was just so skillful. And it'll just be good to see, for the love of the game, someone like that bringing football back. Yeah, I'm thrilled for that. Ipswich are in advanced talks to appoint Gary O'Neill as their manager. I don't know if that's going to work out. I don't know why they got rid of Kieran McKenna when he got him promoted again. Leeds are working on deals to sign Julian Brandt and Harry Wilson on a free. That's huge. Obviously, the Harry Wilson leaving Fulham sucks or whatever, but Julian Brandt from Borussia Dortmund to Leeds is crazy. Like, that's impressive. I know he's 29, but for Leeds, that's huge. Or he's 30 years of age, as I see there. McInnes leaving Hearts for Rangers. I find that's really snaky after Hearts nearly won the Scottish Premiership, lost out on the last day to Celtic. Now the manager goes off and joins Rangers. I think that's just awful all round on his behalf. And I hope the Hearts fans give him stick when they play Rangers both home and away. I think that's disgraceful that he done that. Um, that's not important. That's not important. Lampard is signing a new Coventry deal. Derby have signed Red Bull Salzburg midfielder Bobby Clark, which is huge for Derby. I just wanted to touch on a few other signings as well. There's been a lot of links with Arsenal. There's been Bradley Barcola, Morgan Rogers, the winger from Club Bruges, Buadi, Jeremy Monga from Leicester. So we'll see what happens. AC Milan got rumoured Amorim. I think I touched on that last time we spoke. Last time I'd done a video. Is there much else? I think there was. Tottenham got Van Hecker for Brighton. Good signing, but I think they've overpaid for a player. 1 year left in his contract. 1 year left, and they paid 52 million. I think that was excessive. I think they could have played hardball there and held out. Just going down to see what else there was. There was something funny I see, and it was Kieran Dyer. If you know who Kieran Dyer is, is now the manager of a town I grew up in, Southend United. So that's really random. Um, yeah, originally from Walthamstow, but grew up in Southend. Um, I'm just looking. Oh yeah, Cucurella to Real Madrid. Obviously, they also got Bernardo Silva, Konate, and Denzel Dumfries. So Mourinho obviously coming in has identified players that he wants. Looks like Arbeloa is the manager of Fulham now. Marco Silva went over to Benfica to replace Mourinho. Um, there's been a few manager changes. Obviously, Raul Jimenez and Kieran Trippier went over to Wolves, and then they got rid of their manager and brought in someone else. So there's been a few managerial changes across the board. Obviously, Tottenham also got Senesi and Robertson, so they've shored up things in defence. Yeah, there's, as I say, I think more transfer activity will happen after the World Cup. It's easy to speak with agents and clubs and get medicals in. Obviously, players more focused when they're on internationals. And if a player has a stellar World Cup, it puts them in the market as well. Leipzig have made contacts for Everton striker Tiano Barry, and Everton are looking to recoup the 27 million they paid for him. I mean, from what I gather, Everton fans hate Tiano Barry, so that's a win-win if they can get him out and get the money they spent on him back. I think he's just been disrespectful in their ranks. That's the Bruges player that Arsenal are looking at, Tzolis, Greek winger, no, Belgian, I think. Sorry, mornings, beers. Um, is there anything else I see? Oh yeah, former Man United defender Phil Jones is part of Sheffield United's coaching staff, which is really random. And there was one I see that went to Brentford. Damien Duff is now part of the Brentford staff. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has returned to Feyenoord as manager. Robin van Persie got sacked earlier this month, so obviously that wasn't working out for him, which is funny, like because his son plays at Feyenoord as well, Shaquille. Villarreal not intending to renew Partey's contract, so I don't know what's going to happen with him, especially with all the stuff with the police. Or if he'll find another club elsewhere. I think there's too much around his name. Oh yeah, the Rangers manager obviously went over to Salzburg. That's why they brought in the Hearts manager. I think that's kind of everything that I wanted to touch on. Yeah. Let me know your thoughts and feelings and views on what I've said. It might sound a bit boring. Obviously this is still new. I'm familiarising myself and trying to get everything like better and better as I go along. And I appreciate any feedback from anyone. And I say the channel will keep growing and working on things. At the minute, I don't have access to all my socials, so I can't promote as much as I'd like. First video got, I think it was 73 views. The second one got around 23. So obviously, without being able to promote as much as I'd like, the difference. But if you can share with your friends and whatever else, be much appreciated. And I appreciate every one of you. This is Pints and Nutmegs, and I've been Craig. And next video Monday.